Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yes, we're back. We're here to talk more Cloudspire.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be
have two people this
two
time.
people, so twice the fun, half the knowledge and wherewithal. But you know, together we're
form
sort
one
of
brain cell.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a one of those things of power twins activate situation.
I wouldn't know. We don't. That's not in our one brain cell.
No,
we loaned that out.
Shoot.
Yeah.
That's why Ryan's not here today. He's got our extra brain cell. So yes, we're here to talk about the Keel today. So we're going to be getting a little bit batty, but you know, that's okay. We're prepared for that. And yeah, so I think we are doing questions. Andrew, is that correct? If you have questions, if you have questions, throw them in. He'll hand sign them to us. We'll guess what he's trying to say, and we'll answer those questions.
Just fair warning, if they are big logistical questions about the campaign, we probably won't be able to answer them
accurately. We will make up an answer.
We could always make up stuff, but if you have any questions about the factions and things like that, things coming from a game design standpoint.
Yes. So anyway, like I said, we're here to talk about the Keel, which was the faction that I spearheaded and primarily designed. And actually, so Salem is joining me for two reasons, I would say. One, they are going to be playing the solo scenario as soon as we're done kind of talking through the faction. So they will be tackling that. And additionally, they have been playing the Keel far more than I have over the last few months. Like, we did all of our initial design and development, and then Salem has shouldered the bulk of the workload on playtesting and development and, you know, tweaking and smoothing. So in some ways, even though I would say they're my faction, Salem is more familiar with them than I am at this point. So, you know, when you ask questions that I can't answer, here's Salem. So yeah, anyway, the Keel are the Bat faction. I'm sure you've seen them on the page. But they weren't always like that. So in preparation for this, I went and I printed off my original sheet from a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Maybe 2 years even.
It was a long time ago. So the three of us in the dev department, Salem, Ryan, and myself, have been working on this a bit in hope and optimism for probably 2 to 2.5 years now.
I mean, it's not like full-time work, but like we've been chipping away at it. It's been on the back burner.
Well, I know we pitched the idea of more Cloudspire maybe even 3 years ago. It was a long time ago.
I think it was 2022.
Okay.
So I think it was like the spring of 2022.
So 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all loved Cloudspire, and we went in and said, we want to do more Cloudspire. And got kind of at the time, I would say lukewarm, yeah, we'll think about it. If you've got good ideas, work on them, which we all took to mean, all right, we're going to get together and we're going to start working on this. And I'd say we had roughed out our individual factions' first drafts in a couple of months. And, you know, we had prototyped and we were getting together to work on them. Obviously, they've undergone significant changes. So back to the faction in hand, the Keel, they were originally called the Tillowitch.
Well, they were actually called something even before that.
Oh, what was their first?
So so the very first one, and this is when Ryan,
right, because
Logan and I all designed our we all came up with a pitch for our factions individually.
Just a rough overview.
And I came up with the graft
completely independently.
Logan comes up with a faction called the Gloom, and we're like, okay, that's a lot of G's now in this. Because we already have the Greed, now we have the Graft, and then the Gloom.
And kind of same abstract concept, too.
And there was a lot of, like, we got almost, like, blown away by how many similarities we had in our initial design pitches. Now, there's still some big differences. Like, I had the Mobile Fortress, even though it looked a bit different than how it looks now. You had what you'll get into, your unique minion promotion. So there was still, like, the foundations, but there was like a good number of things like, oh, well, this faction can't recruit units from the market to start with. And that was something we both did because we both designed like alien factions.
Have 2/3 of this new, you know, content offering ignore the market.
Right.
So it was, that's the pros and cons of developing separately is you don't accidentally borrow from one another. You have very different ideas, but sometimes accidentally you have very similar ideas, and then you have to alter course a little bit. So ultimately, I renamed them to the Tillowitch, which is really hard to spell. I have it down here. It's Tywillwch. So it is a Welsh-inspired name. The idea was it would be very light on traditional vowels. But the reason for that is this faction was always conceived as these creatures that lived on the underside of the islands. So they had always been there, just living in the dark. There was no sunlight. They were living down on the bottom. And the original concept for them was that they were incomprehensible to the creatures above. So nobody on the surface of Ankar really knew that they were there. Like, they were kind of whispered of in bedtime stories that there was this thing there that would come and get you. But, people did or didn't really believe in it. And really, they were kind of an alien presence when they did come up to the surface. Their language was incomprehensible. Like, that was the idea behind the name. The surface dwellers couldn't really pronounce it, couldn't understand it, definitely couldn't engage with it. And similarly, from a physiology standpoint, they were a mystery. So the idea, and some of which has stayed through to the Keel, but the idea of the Tillowitch was they were these creatures with no sunlight and completely averse to the light, like the mushrooms and the animals that grow in the dark and are, completely pale and devoid of pigment. They could not survive on the surface. So they all wore kind of heavy protective mechanical suits to shield them from the sun. But, these suits, slowed them down. They were plodding. They were not dynamic on the surface as they were on their home turf of the underside. So back to the theme very quickly, we had no idea what they looked like. My idea for them was, they're kind of these sort of eldritch itch creatures in concept that are completely encased. We never see them. But in order to be powerful on the surface, they had at the time it was called void tech. So all of their technology was source agnostic. It did not use the source. They didn't have the source on the bottom of these islands. They used the wind. There was incredible wind that came through, and they used it to power their technology. Come to the surface, they built spires by blasting holes through the island to generate these wind tunnels. You remember?
Oh yeah, I remember. We had the it was like neoprene.
The idea was they were going to have individual
and,
neoprene sky hexes that they could blast, and then they could build spires there, but nobody else could. So that was what was powering their spires. Yeah. And then the spires were powering the minions. So it was a proximity thing that is basically the same. Mm-hmm. Minions that were on a hex group with a spire promoted. So they were basically being powered by the spire and taking that power to be these more dynamic, imposing warriors that they were on the bottom. Anyway, a lot of those trappings are gone. There were a few things as we kind of went through the pitch process, put it in front of some of the higher ups. Mm-hmm. One of the things that they wanted us to steer away from was not engaging with the source.
Right. Yeah.
Since that is such a key fundamental concept to the core of Cloudspire,
and it's embedded in the balance of other factions, like how much source do units get,
and things
source
like denial,
that. So depriving that as being an engaging
mechanical
sort of system,
element, right?
It just ultimately wouldn't. We love it conceptually, but to actually implement it in a way that feels rewarding to play as and against.
It would have been amazing. So we went away from the void tech to a more traditional, they build on source wells. Mm-hmm. Obviously, probably not the best from a marketing standpoint. You have a faction whose name
nobody can pronounce.
Or spell. Spell or pronounce. So they wanted something different, and that kind of came hand in hand with a different theme. And I think part of that was just making sure they were really differentiated as these creatures, making sure they were really differentiated from the Grige and from the Graft even.
Yeah.
Something coming from technically underneath, but from not the surface of Ankar, was to really push them separately. And I think the obvious choice became bats. I was looking around and going, well, they're on the underside. We don't want to do anything kind of bug-like or insectoid to, again, steer clear of these. Well, they're bats then. Obviously, they're bats. So that was how we landed on the Keel.
And then it allowed us to have another faction that has a good amount of flying. So the airs are no longer the only ones with air power. So
yes. Although, for bats, it's not all of them, surprisingly.
Right. No,
I remember early on, we were doing a playtest, and I think it was Ryan was looking, going, where's flying? They're bats. They should all have flying. Not actually suggesting they all have flying, but just going, why don't any of them have flying? And I was like, well, flying's really good. I guess they are bats, but gosh, flying is so strong. Mm-hmm. So there's a smattering of flying, but more than anything else, it's built into their spire upgrades, really. Because, as I said, the way they work is, and this is in their faction rules, so this is not keywords, this is just built into the Keel. But basically, your minions deploy, and after movement, so this never interrupts movement, but after movement, if they're on a hex group with a Keel Spire, they just immediately promote. If their health is higher, they gain that difference, and while they're on a hex group with a Keel Spire, they remain promoted. After moving off, if there's no Keel Spire, they depromote, and if their new health max is lower than their current health, you lose that HP.
Yeah, but you lose down to that new max.
Right.
So you can actually, like, if you have, let's say, 3 health, you take a damage. Like, there's the Sky Fox, for example. It has 3 health on its base side. I'll put that there. But when it promotes, it's sort of like a tank unit, and it goes up to 7. So you could be at, like, you take some damage. You're at 1 health.
Right.
You promote. You go up to 7. That's a difference of 4, so you gain 4. You're now at 5.
Yep.
You depromote, and then now you're back down to 3.
Very, very much a timing faction of when am I going to do this? When am I going to use my limited builds? Like, oh, okay, he's taken some damage. He's in the middle of the enemy. Limited build action, boom, he promotes. He's really dangerous, and he's wreaking havoc now. Mm-hmm. So from a balance standpoint, kind of the goal, and they haven't always been like this, but it was always the goal, and I think we've gotten really close now, was have them a little bit underpowered on their regular side.
Yeah.
And then have them kind of an equal amount overpowered on the promoted side. So it is a very Spire-dependent faction. If you are struggling, and this is kind of the anti-Keel strategy, if your opponent is playing source denial, if they're stepping on these source wells, they're not removing landmark chips, they're getting their spires down, it can be very difficult to get rolling as the Keel. Conversely, if your opponent's not really paying attention to that and suddenly you've got a nice little path of spires, it's going to be really hard to stop the Keel once they get rolling.
Yeah, they have some talents, too, that just absolutely let them soar.
I see what you did there.
Including, like, ways to get more command points, ways to manipulate movement, and then even to, like, so if you want to jump into the hero.
We can just start with
heroes.
Chira, because I would say, and I think you would agree, Chira is maybe one of the best valued heroes in the game.
I think, if not best valued, it's easily the best starting hero by a good margin, and that's intentional. Because, like, one thing, just to jump real quick back into their spires don't come with any attack or range upgrades. They're all fortifications because they're just meant to
basically, I think they all pop in with 1 or 2 fortification upgrades, and that's it.
Yep.
So they're very weak to start.
And they're not very defensive to start either. You have to invest quite a bit in your fortress in order to make them defensive. So the heroes are very much so meant to sort of pick up that slack. So you have stronger heroes than most factions by a good margin too, because they're meant to be like, okay, I need to protect my fortress because my spires aren't going to do that.
And I would say Chira is probably the most interesting because she's kind of a puzzle. Mm-hmm. So when deployed, decent health, so 3 health, you've got 1 damage. That's kind of on the weaker side.
Well, that's standard for a starting hero.
And then 2 movement, so all pretty within parameters, I would say. Range 2, so again, a little bit of versatility, a little bit defensive, can kind of play sniper, and then obviously you've got flying.
Which, flying on a range... Well, I mean, I don't think we ever have had flying on a range hero or a range unit at all. So that's already like a nasty combination, to be sure.
And you might be asking, well, why would I ever want to upgrade Chira? Because, let me peek at the other side. Oh, I don't have range anymore. What in the world? What gives? Well, if you flip to the upgrade side, you lose range, but you gain conscription. Would you like to tell us what conscription is,
so
Salem?
Conscription is a fun skill that has undergone a few nerfs over the course of playtesting. But it essentially
I would say mainly in the form of taking it off of other units, so it exists once.
Yes.
This is the only spot where conscription exists, which is key.
Yep. Used to also exist on Flitter as well. So conscription is during the prep phase. If this hero is out and active, you may, and we've added a source cost to it, so but you can essentially then, for every Keel Spire on the hex group that Chira is occupying, you may spend 1 source to increase your command points by 1. So if you have 3 spires on the isle that Chira is occupying, you can spend, it's a 1-to-1 ratio, which is, as far as like gaining CP with source, that's like the best ratio in the game. Usually, like for the example, the Aurora, it's like you can spend 2 or 4 to gain 1 or 2, and that's capped up to 2. If you get a ton of Earthscapes, or there are even spires in this game that have a talent replicator, I think, which is for any effect that counts spires, like they count as 2.
Yep.
And so then all of a sudden you can get upwards of 6 extra command points.
If you really,
or even more if
you
you're
got to
like
work
Earthscape.
for it.
Yeah, you
like,
got to
get those spires.
You
got to protect them. You can potentially do it with another one of the heroes, General Echo, who has an ability Void Soul that causes him to count as a spire for, again, when you're counting, or for promotion. So he's kind of the military leader of the Keel. Where he goes, he's treated as a spire and promotes minions accordingly. But back to Chira, so you have this kind of push-pull of, do you want a really tactical hero in this, early wave where you can, you can attack, you can defend, you can kind of keep them off your fortress? Because I would say they're weak wave 1. They tend to take the bulk of their fortress damage in wave 1 before they get going, if they get going. If they don't, then it's lights out. But if they do, it kind of ramps up in wave 2. So do you want her there protecting you early, or do you want to push and try to get her upgraded and flipped so that you can get that CP gain online? Once you do that, though, she's a little bit more of a target. Your opponent is looking, going, okay, how can I rob them of this? Because that's it. This is your only chance. You kind of want to keep her out of the fray then, because that is value for the rest of the game. So she becomes a game of keep away then, of how can I keep her safe, but then pull her back in by the end so she's on a hex group that gives me this bonus. And it's a dynamic puzzle, I would say.
Right, because it's also more beneficial to have spires out in the field than it is to have
out
them
in
at
the
your
boonies.
home base. So you want to then make sure it's like, okay, well, do I want to just put a bunch of spires on my home base so I can keep Chira safe? That's not going to help me as much with my offense. I need to focus on that offense. So then you build more spires out and about into the world, but then, of course, now Chira is more vulnerable. It's interesting sort of balance mechanic. Also, too, we have definitely had a few games where Chira has been out of position, and the other player will intentionally do something to end the wave early. Like they will trigger an unstable rift to destroy the rest of their units, or do something to just either put them in campfire or just end the wave entirely so that Chira is out of position.
Yep. So potentially very powerful, but you have to work for it, which I think kind of sums up the Keel in a nutshell, is they can be very powerful, but you have to work for it. Let's talk about Flitter. Let's just run through the heroes really quick. We kind of touched on General Echo, but Flitter is the middle hero. And
also a bit stronger than others, like if you compare Flitter to, for example, like Drang. However, one thing, no air defense. So for those who got Cloudspire early, like first edition, range just inherently let you hit flying. And then when we did the version 2, we split a lot of talents into 2 separate talents, so it's more singular focus on the talents. And we did that so now everything that in version 1 had 2 range now has 2 range and air defense. That actually has now allowed us to do some interesting things where we can have ranged heroes that can't attack flying.
Right.
So Flitter has range, but no air defense, whereas Chira has flying, so Chira can hit flying.
And again, Flitter, I would say, not a bad combat unit. You've got the 2 damage, which is pretty decent. You've got the range. So pretty good, even if not the best airs killer, which is how I measure everything. And they have a skill called Poise, though, which I think is one of my favorites in here.
Oh, it's so fun.
It's very simple, but really adds layers.
Yeah.
Poise basically, well, I'll read it as written so I don't mess it up. When moving a Keel minion, you may give them +1 or -1 movement to a minimum of 1.
So you essentially can absolutely strategize your forces.
Do you want to rush?
Or do you want to hold back?
Or do you want to stay as close as possible? Which
doesn't... Well, so I was going to say, it doesn't help the Keel as much as other factions because your spires aren't as, devastating from a firepower.
I think it's more about, though, do I rush them out to where I have a spire?
Right.
Or I have the spires here, I'm going to keep them back. I'm going to give them all -1 and try to keep them on the spires. And really, it's about timing. It's about having your forces at their strongest when they clash with your opponent's forces, be that speeding them up, slowing them down, somewhere in the middle. And it gives you that versatility to kind of play that game. Maybe it's I'm going to speed him up because he's been wounded, flip, heal. Oh, I'm going to slow them down because they need to be here and be strong. But it's very straightforward, but it gives you a lot to work with. And I believe we touched on General Echo, kind of a big, beefy body. Void Soul was kind of that big thing. It gives you that mobile force even if you're struggling with your spires. So I think there are times where, you jump flitter because your strategy's not going super well on that front. You're having trouble finding a foothold. You just jump flitter and go to echo so you can have that promotion and maybe stabilize, get some spires out, and come back to flitter afterwards if you need to.
Because what's great about echo, is it's super rewarding and super fun to be having echo sort of on the sidelines, like not quite in the fray, so he's not taking damage, but almost like watching the rest of your troops as they march along, because you get to keep them promoted,
right? Or maybe off on the side, and then you just step on and suddenly everything gets stronger. It's like, oh gosh.
It's a really great way to sort of lean into if your opponent is sort of not letting you get spires on the board. You put echo out, and it's like, okay, all right, I'll do it. I'm this
gonna pivot.
Way, then. You
asked for this. Want to talk about some of your favorite talents before we run through the fortress?
Okay. Yep. So probably my favorite talent. Oh gosh, I actually have quite a few. Honestly, I think the one that I'm most excited by, but I'm also nervous by, because I imagine, we still want to do some final testing to make sure it doesn't get too crazy. But we have a talent called Incinerate. And it's on one unit. It's a single unit. The Demolitionist has Incinerate. It used to work a bit differently. It was like when this unit defeats a unit, it defeats all group units underneath it. And that was fun, especially in like solo, for example. But for the most part,
pretty niche.
Grouping is very rare. It is something that, it's very niche. You do it when you have a good strategy for it. So it's like, okay, and especially if you're playing against the Keel, then you just be like, all right, well, I'm not going to just do that. And then all of a sudden, this your highest cost minion has effectively no talent. So we're like, okay, what else could we do? What things could we do? And I think it was your idea, because we were thinking of the name Incinerate. Like, okay, what? And then so we just have it. I'll just read it as is. After this unit defeats an opposing faction unit, you may forego the reward to remove that unit chip from the game. So it is like perma capture with no limit.
Which, now, funnily enough, I think it's amusing that they're rolling out next to the Shada.
Who
rely on combining very specific
and they
units.
need to have that chip. It's also interesting with the graft about how when a minion gets promoted, that specific chip stays promoted for the rest of the game. And if you incinerate that one, it's like, haha.
You wasted your promotion.
You got rid of that promotion.
Now, that said, the Demolitionist is a 6 cost, so they're not coming out.
There's only the one.
Super early. Like, typically wave 2 at the earliest.
Yep.
I don't think there's any real way for the Keel to get them out wave 1.
No, not wave 1, and they also don't have a ton of health. So It's sort of like, it's almost like this guy you want to protect, and then maybe you use poise at the right moment to rush it out and then go hit, like, the enemy unit that's been just, like, is there, like, for example, could you get it, because, like, you can get spires that give your units flying, so even if there's, like, a Royal Talon out, you send this guy in to go do the last damage against a Royal Talon, and you're just like, all right, you don't get that anymore. No more Royal Talon.
I think for me, it's funny. It's not like a hugely... I don't think it really swings games, but I really like Biosonar.
Oh, Biosonar's fun.
Especially because it's paired. So Biosonar and Neutralize, they're paired on the same unit, which you can get out wave 1. Biosonar basically lets you explore any landmark chip on its hex group after moving. So you can move and you can kind of peek at something that's a little farther away. Okay, so far so. It's all right. But then Neutralize comes in. Neutralize, after moving, this unit may discard an adjacent landmark chip. Do not gain any rewards for that chip. So you get those really annoying landmark chips that are going to completely mess up your strategy, and you can, neutralize them.
Just get rid of it.
Bump them off. You can also use it a little bit offensively. Like, there's that big landmark chip your opponent's been working on, knocking health chips away. They're going to get that great reward. Oh, they're going to get a relic. Boop, boop. Neutralize. Nobody gets a reward now.
Mm-hmm.
It also, more importantly for the Keel, makes it very easy to free up source wells early.
Yes, that's the biggest thing.
That's the biggest thing.
There's even like a fortress advancement that when you remove a landmark chip, you may immediately build a spire on that, paying its cost, but it doesn't take a build action and it doesn't, you don't have to wait till your next start of turn, which is the biggest part.
That's the big one, because again, your opponent is trying to block those off. So typically, if you knock one off, if they don't want to see your Spire down, they're going to spend their build action and slap one down and just block you, even if it's not tactically, a great place for their Spire. Let's see. Anything else that really stands out as a favorite of yours?
I mean, there's definitely some good ones, but I don't want to spoil everything.
No, that's fair. Yeah, you'll get into a lot of it.
I'll get into it, especially when I get into the solo scenario.
All right, let's talk about the fortress a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, you'll get into a lot of this, but I think I'd largely like to talk about how you improve their spires, because I think you mentioned a little bit earlier that your spires come down and they only have fortifications.
Only fortifications.
And typically just 1 or 2.
Yep.
The source grinder comes in with 1. The outpost comes in with 2. Like 1 fortification upgrade. That's not that much. That's super weak.
So as I mentioned before, they're not primarily meant to serve as defense. However, there are ways where you can make
At least
them,
not at first.
At least not at first, exactly.
At least not at first.
So they have one ability that when you purchase it, you get to just sort of put 3 upgrade chips of your choice into your barracks.
So you buy it, you bank them.
Yep, and then next time you build a Keel Spire, you get to add one of those upgrades to it. So you could grab 3 attack chips, and then just right from there, all of a sudden, cool, awesome, you have 3 attack chips that you can build on your next 3 spires. There's also there's a way where you can start using there's the Stone Shaper line, which is all about using merc units. So when a merc unit is defeated, the first level will just give it a fortification, but if you buy the next one, you can start getting it attack upgrades. So every time a merc unit is defeated, you can add an attack chip, which is great.
Additionally, you can add it to the top.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you can add it to the top, so you can get these. So they're not going to just sit there and be the first things removed.
No, but it's kind of funny. Your opponent will be sitting there seeing this, kind of go, "Oh, it's got 3 fortifications. That's fine. It's fortifications." And then, attack upgrade, and it's walled off behind all those fortifications.
Yep.
It suddenly becomes a big problem very quickly.
There's also a talent too that's both on the Line Runner and Shadow Magistrate, and there's a Spire that actually gives all of your minions on its hex group the talent as well, called Versatile. Which is when this unit's defeated, you may spend, I think it's 2 source to immediately add any upgrade to the bottom of the closest Keel Spire. So you get a bunch of these guys out, and all of a sudden people are like, "Oh, these spires aren't so bad. It's just a bunch of fortifications." And then you send in a bunch of units, or you get a bunch of units on a Versatile hex, and that spire that's giving them Versatile all of a sudden is a really nasty tall spire, because it lets you ignore their upgrade restrictions as well when you do that.
So it's very much there's kind of a pivot point if you're following those lines, where they go from nothing to everything really quickly. And you even see it in playtesting sometimes. You just kind of go, "Wait, how did this get away from me?" I let these spires become a problem.
One of in our in-person playtesting, I had somebody play as the Keel almost every single time over the course, like when the Keel were in rotation, because he played them at the very beginning, and then I wanted to make sure, like, hey, we're pulling their strength back a bit. Are they still fun though? And I made sure to ask him every time, "Is it still fun? You're still doing really well. I think we still want to tweak a few more things, but are they still fun?" And every time he's like, "Yep, awesome. Like, we haven't lost the spark of what makes them fun to play." And I just remember the last game that we played, I managed to eke out a victory with I was the Nerora, and I did some very cheeky stuff, as the Nerora are known to do. But I pretty much just had to play around the center aisle, because he was able to get a spire in the middle that had something like 8, 9 upgrades, and I'm like, I can't touch that. Like, and we were playing with the new upgrade chips too, which one of which includes a sort of like a retaliation. He had like 2 of those in there, and I'm like, great, if I attack this thing,
if I hit it,
my units are gonna just die. And then he also had an ability where when you would remove an upgrade from a spire, you can remove 2 upgrades from 2 different spires instead. So he just had a bunch in the back line with a ton of fortifications just to keep this center one alive. And I'm like, so I had to make good use of like the portal rings and some gate ports that were around, and build an Auroran portal, and like just to be like, all right, you know what? I have to skip over the middle aisle.
Yeah, they're not an aggro faction, but once they get rolling, it can be really tough to recover. Really tough. And you may have clocked that a lot of these abilities are source related. Like, hey, to do this, spend the source. To do this, spend the source. And so there's the Seismic Harvester line, which is kind of to give you an option to have a little more source than average. So the mulcher basically lets you gain a source every time a landmark chip is removed.
Regardless of who removes it.
Regardless of who removes it or how it's removed, it could just be discarded. So it's another little perk for neutralize is you can just start, knocking them off for free. You don't get their reward, but you're getting easy source. Now that one is only really good early. Once these kind of get weeded out, it doesn't do anything, but it gets you to vampirism, which after a Keel Spire defeats an opposing unit, gain 2 source in addition to their source reward.
So if you do manage to get your spires to be a bit more aggressive,
if you start heading that direction, it can again bolster the amount of source you have. Let's see. Is there anything else you want to touch on here, or do you want to save it for the playthrough?
I think save for I'd say save for the playthrough.
I'm just looking to see if there's any of my real favorites.
I do like, there's one, Void Rifles. It's the last, it's the most expensive one, but it is when
on the longest line.
On the longest line, it's when a Keel minion depromotes. What is it?
If it does not already have a range upgrade, it gains 1, ignoring restrictions. It also gains the talent 1 range.
So it essentially gains 2 range because it gains the talent 1 range and then it gains a range upgrade.
They have all these bats with guns.
Yep. So it's something that actually you can then utilize and get advantage of depromoting your units.
Yep.
Because they're effectively leaving your area of influence.
But they're armed.
As they're leaving, like I just like to picture General Echo just like being like, hey,
just
dangerous to go alone. Take this, and just like tossing them a bunch of guns as they leave.
It's funny. One of my favorites is that same line, very different, but I really like Terraformation.
Oh, that's our newest, I think.
And it kind of feeds into their whole like getting multiple source wells on the same hex group to really maximize conscription. And it basically just says at the start of the market phase, if the top Earthscape has a mountain hex on it, you may gain it for free. This does not count as your market purchase. Just gives you free hexscapes as long as there's mountains showing.
Yeah,
which
and you can
is
about. I think we did the math. Is about like 50%. But what's nice is you can get those 2 advancements wave 1.
Yeah.
So you maximize your chances, and honestly, even if you don't get it, it opens up the rest.
Yep.
Like you're now halfway to finishing off that entire line, which is like you're halfway to Void Rifles. You can get the carbide defenses, which is a nice way to sort of immediately buff all of, like, give some more defense to all of your spires on the board.
Well, and I think Earthscaping is maybe more pivotal for the Keel than most other factions.
I'm getting those source wells, yeah.
On both sides, I've seen opponents of the Keel do really big things where like, oh, I can't deal with these spires, kind of like you were describing in your playtest. I'm gonna Earthscape and go around it and just negate all this work you've done. Conversely, as the Keel, it's really nice to be able to build. Earthscape, now you have to go through the gauntlet of death.
Right.
That's completely aside from any conscription benefits of giving yourself source wells.
Yeah, getting more source wells on an isle lets you build more spires there so you can get conscription going.
Yep, so that one I think is underrated, and it's relatively new, so maybe it's not underrated, and we'll see how it goes. But anyway, that's kind of the Keel from an overview. Did we have any questions that we can answer?
Well, did y'all talk about the dark side stuff at all?
The dark side.
Oh, yeah. Well, so because that was a stretch goal we unlocked. Yeah. So because thematically, again, we maintained the sort of the theme of these
power and darkness.
Yeah, they're like
the spires are kind of meant to block out the sun a little bit.
Yeah, and so to reflect that, we have the stretch goal where they now have their promoted side has that sort of dark aesthetic. They look like they're encased in shadow. The UI has changed a bit to sort of really imply like, oh, yep, they built a spire that is now casting this whole area into darkness.
Yep.
And it is promoting them or giving them unique additional abilities, like one in which gives, I think I briefly mentioned it, but it gives all of the Keel minions on that hex group flying. It's the most expensive one, of course, but it is quite powerful and paints a target on that spire pretty quickly. But again, once they leave that hex group, they lose flying too. So that can then be where your opponent's just like, all right, well, I can try and slow down my unit so you'll get off of that, and then I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, so dark treatment, pretty cool. I said just put them all in sunglasses, but nobody listens to me.
All right, any other questions? Come in over there. That was a you question.
Wow. I wouldn't have answered it if I'd known that.
That's why I couched it the way I did.
Boink.
Are the colors of the faction ships definitive And if so, are they the colors we've been seeing on the campaign page?
Campaign, yes. Definitive, I mean, I don't 100% know that answer myself.
I think some of it is going to be based on seeing samples,
yes,
seeing how they look
yeah.
in person.
The ones we've got for the prototypes are not the right colors. They are just whatever we had excess blank chips of in our prototype
didn't look
cabinet.
exactly like something else we were using to avoid confusion.
Yeah, because like these ones are already pretty similar to the Horizon's Wrath.
Right.
I think the lime green ones for the graph, that was probably the most unique. And then the Shada, we were using white chips, which honestly was a bad call in hindsight, even for prototyping, because it's like the number of times I would watch Ryan play as the Shada, and then he would just put his defeated Shada minions into the discarded landmark pile, and he's like,
in fairness,
wait, where's my dust? I'm combining, I need my dust. I'm like, I think it's over in the landmark.
I hope Ryan's not watching right now, but in fairness, his play state is the messiest I've ever seen.
No, it's okay. He talks about it.
He did.
He would get yelled at on Top Chef for having a messy workstation.
Nothing to do with his cooking.
Yeah, no. His cooking is great. We hear all about his.
It's fair. His chicken enchiladas are good.
He has that curry that's really good. Yeah.
Steph?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No, Tim.
Touche. I've been out curried.
Was it challenging to make the Keel field distinct from the hairs?
So no, mostly because honestly they became more like the heirs over the course of their development.
Yeah, I would say it was kind of a thematic shift that made you go, oh, look, it's another, flying faction, but mechanically they were never very similar.
And again, too, they only have 2 units with flying, so unlike the heirs, which have 3 flying heroes, the Elfinkazi and the Royal Talon, they have Chira, which we've sort of gone into detail, and then they also have it's their 3-cost minion, Clutch, which does have flying, but only has like 2 health, 2 attack, 1 movement, and then on its promoted side, it gets up to 4 health. But again, you have to promote it.
And I would say, just thematically, again, to assuage any concerns, again, they're on the top side. There's Bright Sun. They're just weaker. Like, they are not themselves. They're incredibly powerful underneath in darkness, but up here, not so much. So, again, one of the spires you can get has Imbue Flying, which gives them, you touched on this already, gives them flying. So, like, they can get their power back, but they need some help.
And it's an expensive, as I said, it's an expensive spire. Because oftentimes you want the spires just to promote. So spending, 5? 5 source for a spire that, again, is just fortifications to give your units flying, definitely worth it at times. But sometimes you're just like, all right, I could just build a source grinder for 2. I just need to get these guys promoted. That's all I want out of this spire. And to sort of go on to that too, like all of the other things that make the heirs unique, because they have a good flying representation, but they also, they're all about swarms. Tons of...
They are an aggro faction. Yeah. They are going to hit you, and you'll kind of know how the game's going to go in wave 1 to 2.
Whereas that's not true of the Keel at all. The Keel are definitely not a rush faction, to use sort of like an RTS term. Like, they don't have any rush strategies in the same way that the heirs do.
Can you repeat the question that was in reference to?
That was in reference to, the question was, when designing the Keel, was it hard to make them distinct from the heirs? And again, to sort of reiterate the first sentence I said, no, just because they only became a little bit more like the heirs during development. They were even less like the heirs.
It was after I was told they couldn't be Welsh. It was like, all right, well, now they're bats.
And that's just because we gave a few of them flying. That's.
The next question. Can you repeat it? Because I'm quieter.
Yes.
Can the Keels go on opponents' spires as well? I believe that was in reference to them upgrading in regards to spires or whatever that.
Can the Keel go on opponent spires as well? I don't fully understand, but I think the answer is no. Keel only promote on hex groups with Keel spires. So not opponent spires, not market spires. It is only Keel spires.
And it's name specific.
This is their technology they've created to help kind of blot out the sun and give them that shroud of darkness, as it were.
Okay. Yeah, I think you might have spoken and said that they go on their own spires to promote.
Go on their own.
They don't go on the spires themselves.
No, it's only when they're on the hex group with a Keel spire.
Next one. I know the answer to this, but can a unit die from the health shift? Like if they lose 4 HP, then move and unpromote, will they die?
No, because
Well, just to repeat,
Yeah.
so can a unit die
Okay,
from the
thank
health loss when they depromote?
Yes.
And the answer to that is no.
The answer is no, and that is because of, and that's in the faction-specific rules. Because, like, I think it's a general rule, I believe, where when something promotes, it gains the difference of health. But I don't think we really have something in. I mean, I think we do. I can't remember exactly what the defined ruling is for accounting for depromoting. But specifically for the Keel, we made sure to give a call out that when it depromotes, it loses health down to its
Printed
new
max.
max.
Yep.
So it will never, like, so if you gain 4 health by flipping and promoting, and then you flip back, you won't lose 4 health. You'll just lose down to whatever your new max is.
But if that 7 health unit was at 2 and then got depromoted, it would remain at 2.
It would, yes. So yeah, if something is at, like, yes, as Andrews mentioned, if that 7 health unit was at 2 health and depromoted, it would just remain at 2 because
Presumably, yep.
its base side has a max of 3. So it would just keep its current health.
Right.
Can you remove spires with that? Can you remove spires with that ability, or specifically units only? I believe that's in reference to incinerate. Can you repeat the question?
Oh yes. So can incinerate be used to remove spires from the game? No, it is a unit only thing.
Yep. I believe it's faction minion only.
Yes,
right?
I believe it's faction minion.
Yeah.
Oh no,
No,
it's faction unit.
unit.
So
Not that
on
there's-
Voss, if you think you're going to keep coming back and matter distort, got another thing coming.
Is General Echo the commander of Logan's heroes?
Logan's.
I believe you mean Hogan's heroes.
Yeah. No, it's the commander of Kelly's heroes. They're going to go rob a gold bank. Yeah. To all of those people who've seen Kelly's heroes. That's for you.
For both of you.
For all 2 of you.
For all of
And I'm one of them.
Is playing with Portal Seekers disadvantageous for the Keel or others, since there's no source well on the center tile? I've wondered before how much it changes the balance in certain matchups.
There's no source well on the center tile.
And repeat the question, please.
Oh, the question was, is playing with Portal Seekers disadvantageous because, can you...
No source well on the center tile. I don't know if that's true.
I mean, there is one. It's been a minute since I've played Portal Seekers, the anomaly mode, so I can't. It might have something where like something goes in the middle, but I would say no, not in particularly. Like, yes, it's might be more tricky if you can't get units promoted on the center, but it's rare that you can't take alternate routes.
Well, and I think for the Keel, you have lots of options.
You have lots of options. Yep.
Earthscapes.
And then there's always General Echo. And honestly, General Echo's not only helpful for Void Soul, he's also a really good hero in his own right, too. So, like, leaning into General Echo and what that can give you can definitely help you as well. And or you could use Poise creatively so that you slow your units down until they get to the center aisle, and then you speed them up so they can get to another spot. So I would probably say, like, I don't know, there might be occasionally some pain points for those doing it for the first time, but I doubt it would keep the Keel from being extremely competitive.
Yeah.
And then last one, which I also had the question of, can you... This is someone saying, now you're confusing me. Isn't the middle source wall blocked by the portal to get to the island?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. That's what I couldn't quite remember because it's been a while. So,
I'll repeat what that's in reference.
Yeah. So somebody was saying the portal to the sort of segmented area is in the center aisle. That is correct.
Yep.
Like I said, it's been a hot minute since I've played the Anomaly PvP, so I don't remember the setup. But
you have options.
But yeah, you have options. Yeah.
Um,
Because I can say this much: I have played standard PvP games where the center aisle is almost entirely ignored.
Yeah.
So.
Can Can you explain adding earthscapes and how it changes the definition of hex group as it pertains to Keel?
So
So the question is, can you explain adding earthscapes and how it pertains to the definition? Feel free.
I mean, I believe this is. I could be wrong. I think this is already called for because it's like in regards to things like influence,
right.
And that
It's measured by the base layer.
yeah, it's measured by the base layer. And so if you add an earthscape on top and it overlaps two hex groups, it still goes by the base layer.
Right. So for example, this source well is on this primary hex group, whereas this one is on this hex group over here, which you can kind of see underneath. So it takes a little bit of tracking and paying attention, but it's fairly straightforward, unless you get like 20 of these down.
Yeah. Got earthscapes on top of earthscapes.
Exactly.
And the last question, can Aurora use Incinerate if they possess?
Can Aurora use Incinerate if they possess?
So I'd have to double check the language of Incinerate, but I do believe yes. Yes. Or not Incinerate. I have to double check the language of possess. But I'm going off of memory here. I don't have the reference sheet out here, but I believe so. Yeah, because they get to use the talent or the minion that they possess.
Keel players, don't let that happen.
Don't let that happen, no.
Actually, I don't know how damaging that
how
would be for the
devastating.
Keel.
Yeah.
It'd be fine.
Yeah, because you do have to forego the source reward. And
Yeah. I think that's all the questions.
All right.
So, perfect. Thank you for tuning in to hear about the Keel. Salem's going to be back very shortly to play a Keel solo scenario. And yeah, if you were on the fence, go get some bats. Go back some bats. They're awesome.
Heck yeah.
The link is below.
The link is below.
To the campaign.
I don't...
It's under the table.
Link?
No, they're in Ohio.
Oh, right. They're not here.
Yeah.
Breaking pots.
I'm back. Logan has been sent away. I'll leave it at that. Welcome back. I'm going to be jumping into a Keel solo scenario. I think during the break we did get one more question that I want to answer. There was a question. It was in regards to there's some of the art that Andrew was throwing up on screen. Looked like these mini bats, and I think somebody was asking, do they have how do they work, and if they're like Elfinkazi. No, the Keel do not have equivalents to Elfinkazi in any way, shape, or form. I'm not even sure. I don't even think if that is. I think that's just campaign art, or box cover art, or something like that. I don't think those are those specific pieces going to be unit pieces. I think those are meant to be other just sort of different versions of unit pieces. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't even seen all of the final art for a lot of these things. Might go in the book. Yeah, no, they do not have any kind of Elfinkazi. They do have a semi-weak, and I say weak by just meaning referring to low health, flying unit, and that's the clutch. But again, it's nothing it's like a normal unit that just has flying. It is not like Elfinkazi in anything like that. Yeah. I think having one type of Elfinkazi, well, technically two, since it's got Glide Bomb and Save. I think that's enough for Cloudspire. I don't think we need more Elfinkazi. What do you want?
You keep
Why are you over here?
over me
Yeah, because you're right there.
Hit you. I'm just
you're right there. You can it's hard not to look at you when you're asking me. You're telling me about a question I need to answer. All right, so that's that. Okay, well, I guess we'll get started here. So this will be the first solo scenario for the Keel, and this is essentially, to preface the story here, the Shada in their campaign destroyed another island. They can't help but destroy islands. They just love doing it so much. And this was one where the Keel were they were underneath. They are under a bunch of the isles, so it's not like they have just the single isle that they call home. They sort of move across the different ones. But they're ultimately going okay, you know what? This war that's been happening upstairs, we have to do something. These factions are just going ballistic. They're destroying everything. We're going to essentially go through and just do a full shock and awe campaign, wipe them out as much as we can so that we can just go back and be all right, you know what? We're going to go back underneath and then we're going to be safe. So this is the first of that, and it is against the Brahmin. And a way to sort of represent that they are sort of coming up on the surface, you actually, for this scenario, don't start with your fortress gate attached, but rather have different spots that you can deploy out of. And then once you have completed sort of not an objective, but just sort of one of the rules, then you can actually attach your fortress. And until you do that, you can't gain any source. So you want to do it as quick as possible. But yeah, so I've got it set up here. One of the parts of setup is all of the landmarks are going to be minions. You only use the minion pool when making them. And I'm only playing with base game stuff here. So you do have enough if you're playing with base game. You don't need the additional minions in Portal Seekers or Harbinger to play this scenario. But yeah, so I will go ahead and get started here. I'll read the rest of the rules and then the objectives, and then we'll jump right in. So, scenario rules. Flitter is the only Keel hero the Keel may have in play. So we're going to get to see a lot of poise in action. Her CP cost to deploy is 0, and she must be deployed wave 1. Before the Keel Fortress Gate is attached, Keel units may deploy from any of the E hexes, which are the sort of the four different aisles. They also cannot gain source or buy fortress advancements. So until I have attached the fortress, I can't gain any source. At the end of a turn, if aisle 3, 4, 5, or 6 are cleared of landmarks, attach the Keel Fortress Gate to that aisle. So that's going to be, I don't remember exactly which ones are which numbers, but they are these four outer ones. And then because I don't have a Fortress Gate, the Brahmin mark is going to be Flitter. So there is a line in here that says, while Flitter is the Brahmin mark, she must be adjacent to a path hex that leads to the Brahmin Fortress Gate. So you can't just put her in a position where they won't be able to get her. So AI rules. If an architect ends its movement adjacent to a Brahmin spire, it will trigger Builder, adding a fortification upgrade to the spire. So that works a little bit differently than what the normal AI units are for Builder. The other one, Drang remains in the Brahmin Fortress Gate and is considered out of play until she is deployed in Wave 3. So Drang will get deployed Wave 3. She starts with a range upgrade, and there are event dice that will be buffing her as well, so that by the time she comes out, she's going to be a little bit more stronger, depending on what you roll. So the marks, the Keel, my mark, is going to just be the Brahmin Fortress Gate. The Brahmin are going to go for the Keel Fortress Gate, but if the Keel Fortress Gate is not yet in play, then the mark will be Flitter. And then Drang has her priority. She's actually going to go for the closest revealed landmark minion, so she wants to go hunt down the minions. That's going to be important here in a sec. Because the objectives are defeat 6 landmark minions. So I specifically have to defeat them. Additionally, if I use like neutralize, where I just get rid of the chip, that doesn't count as defeating. So I have to actually defeat 6 landmark minions. I have to defeat Drang. And then at the end of Wave 4, all Brahmin Spires need to be defeated. So those are the 3 objectives. I do also have a unique loss condition. If Flitter is defeated, I do lose. All right, so we will go ahead and get started here. So with Wave 1, we are going to roll the event die. And I got a 3, which per the chart, that is going to add 1 HP, I believe. Add 1 HP to Drang, even if not yet in play, ignoring restrictions. So Drang will gain 1 HP, so she'll have a little bit more health when she comes out. Okay, so 0 income phase, because I can't even gain any source anyway. We'll skip the market phase, Wave 1, and we'll skip the build phase, Wave 1, because again, I don't have anything to build. All right, I do have 5 command points. I will generate their deployment stack here first, though. They have a Dispatch, Battleborn, and 2 upgraded Architects. So this is an unpromoted Dispatch, and then an unpromoted Battleborn grouped underneath it. And then 2 ungrouped promoted Architects. So they are pretty much just going to get some free fortifications right from the get-go. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go first. Now, per the rules, I do have to deploy Flitter Wave 1. Specifically, you have to even deploy her turn 1, because she has to be a mark for the Brahmin to go after. So I will get Flitter, and then I have 5 command points. I think I'm going to do the 2 command point cost, the Echo Scout and the Clutch. I don't know if we want to just show those off real quick.
A little higher.
A little higher? There? Sweet. All right. So I'm going to do the Echo Scout first, and then the Clutch after that. Okay, so because I don't have my Fortress Gate out, I don't stack them up, but when I deploy them, I can deploy them out to Titanium. So you can even actually split your units in the start here. It is on an individual basis. That being said, looking at where I want to deploy and where I think is a good spot. This is a pretty nasty choke point. I don't think I want to do that. Going over here, it's going to be hard to get both of those. I think I'm actually going to go for this one. All right, so I'm going to send my Echo Scout out first, so it's going to just like that. And then the Clutch. Actually, I think Biosonar. Hold on, let me check the timing of Biosonar. Oh, wait, no. Neutralize. After movement, this unit may discard an adjacent landmark. Do not gain any. All right, so after that Echo Scout's movement, this is before exploring, so I don't get to see what this is. I am going to just use Neutralize to get rid of that. All right, and then I will send Flitter out right there. Okay, we'll take a look at this. Okay, we've got a Thorax. I will reveal that. It's got 5 health. Okay, I will attack it with the Echo Scout. For 1, it doesn't have an attack stat, so it won't retaliate. Then the Clutch for 2 more, and then Shira with her range 2 and 2 damage will finish it off. So unfortunately, I don't get that 5 source reward because I don't have a Fortress Gate yet. But I do get to add my Fortress Gates because it's at the end of the turn. I do get a chance to upgrade Flitter here first. I think I'm going to give Flitter a range increase. To up her range to 3. Okay. Now, at the end of a turn, this isle is free of landmarks. So I can attach my Fortress Gate to that isle. And I think, actually, I'm going to do it over here. So I'm going to move all this real quick. Let's put that off to the side there. Okay. I will add it right. Oh, no. No, I can't. Because it overlaps with that. Never mind. I have to do it here. Okay. Oh, gosh. Which corner? Here? There? No, because that's not a path X. There's no path X's there. No. Okay. And I've got 0 source. All right. Okay. Yeah, in hindsight, I probably should have rearranged this map a little bit differently, but I wanted the Brahmin to be right here. All right. Okay, so that is my first turn. So now they are going to go. 2. 1, 2, 3. This architect is not going to be able to use, and so it will trigger builder, so it'll flip and add a fortification to this lance launcher. All right, this next builder will go, and I believe it has to just stop there because that's the only place it can make progress, whereas that guy had to keep moving because that would not be progress towards their mark. There we go. Okay, now back to my turn. Sadly, I don't have any source yet, so I can't build a spire to get my promotions out. I do have poise, though, so I can now be using poise to slow these guys down if I want. This dispatch is going to go there. Well, okay, so I'm going to go 2 to get the retaliation there. And then I will use poise on clutch to move it there. And then I'll move Flitter here. Okay. Now their turn, dispatch, 2, 1, 2, builder's not adjacent to anything. This builder is going to go here, trigger builder on the lance launcher, and then get removed. Okay, dispatch is going to attack a unit that it can damage. So I'm going to have it attack the Echo Scout then, because it can't kill either of them, so it's have to go for that. I get the retaliation. All right. So now, let's see, do I want to Lancelot? Ooh. Oh, things aren't looking good for the clutch. I think clutch is going to die here. I'm going to see if I can't. So I'm going to use poise to move clutch a little bit further. Echo Scout will stay put. I'll move Flitter to there. I will Spire's Fire. Okay, so against clutch, hopefully I can get a miss. Nope, that is to be expected. Clutch is defeated. All right, so Flitter, take out the dispatch. I get 3 source for that. There we go. And then I can promote. Yeah, I will promote because that will up my movement and up my upgrade capacity. And then Battleborn, I'll have the Echo Scout attack it, and the Echo Scout will die. So this is where I'll have to sort of rely on Flitter to protect my fortress. Okay. So then the Battleborn will move. Have I go there? Have the architect go there. All right. So then I'll defeat the Battleborn. I get 2 for that. And then I get an upgrade. I will take a range upgrade because I can't defeat that architect in 1 hit afterwards anyway. All right, so then my turn. I will stay put. I'll hit the architect for 2. Architect will move.
So normally this is the place where the architect would build a dispatch platform because of builder, but because of the unique rules for this scenario, the architect is not going to trigger builder in the normal way. So I will not build a spire on those source walls. In which case then it's my turn again, and I'll finish off the architect with flitter. And now I do have a fully promoted flitter. Get 2 more source there. And let's see, I've got 3 range. I could do 4 range to take out that lance launcher from a safe distance. Yeah, I think I will. I think I'll get 4 range on flitter. That sounds pretty good. Okay. All right, on to wave 2. So event die. Roll the event die. And then after we roll this, so that's 5. That is going to add, I believe, add a range upgrade. No, add an attack upgrade to Drang, ignoring restrictions. Okay. And then reveal the landmark furthest from the Brannan gate. So let me just count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that's the winner. All right, so that'll get revealed. And I'm actually going to go, let's see, I'm going to find that thorax. I'm going to place that on my fortress so I can track how many landmark minions I have defeated. Okay. All right. And then there is going to be a market phase as normal. So we've got, got the double Sourcewell Earthscape. And then we have, let's see, I'm going to give these just a quick small scale shuffle there. All right. Okay. Well, I can't deploy heroes. Flitter is the only hero I can have deployed, so I'm definitely not going to go for those 2 guys. I think I do get an income, actually. I get 3 source income phase. I will spend 2 to buy the slingshot. I think that'll be a cheap form of defense here. Okay. So then build phase. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I could get Mulcher, but it would only give me a net gain of 4 source. I don't think that's worth it. I think I'm going to get Arsenates, which is take 3 upgrade chips of your choice and place them in your fortress. Whenever you build a spire, you may add any 1 remaining upgrade chip from here to anywhere on that spire, ignoring upgrade restrictions. So that'll let me 1, 2, 3. And that is whenever I build a spire. So I can even add that to my slingshot. Which is nice. I can have it be a 2 attack slingshot. I do like that. Honestly, I think, 3 attack upgrades I think is the way to go for now. Sometimes if you have systems in place to get attack upgrades through other means, like you've got the Stone Shaper stuff where when a merc unit that you control is defeated, you get to add an attack upgrade to the top of a Keel Spire. Grabbing a range upgrade for Arsenates can be pretty good because then it allows you to get that range as well, which is important on Spires. But I think just to guarantee that my next 3 Spires get an attack upgrade, I think I'm going to do that. All right. So that was Arsenates. I think I'm also going to get the Armory die. So this is one we didn't get a chance to dive into. It is a unique die, and it's the Armory die. After an attack upgrade on one of your spires is removed by an opposing unit, even if the spire is defeated, roll this die and apply it. And there's results of like deal the attacking unit 1 damage, deal the attacking unit 1 damage and gain 1 source, and deal the attacking unit 1 damage for each upgrade on that spire. So I'm going to get that as well. I'm going to just roll the event die anytime I would have to do that. So that is 7. Because I already bought Arsenates. Yep. So that is going to be 4 more for the turret. So I am at 1 source. All right. And then I will build my slingshot, and I'm going to use my one of these attack upgrades as well. So I'm going to do attack range for this slingshot. I'm going to build it right there. Okay. All right. I think that's it for the build phase. So now the prep phase. So they have a dispatch and promoted Battleborn, and those are grouped. They're also going to have another promoted Battleborn underneath that on its own. And then a promoted Architect. So they're still going to get some extra fortifications on it, which is dangerous because if they eat up all the fortifications, then I can't build any of my spires. Well, actually... Oh, yeah, no, because Arsenates is... I add it to that spire after, like, as I'm building it, and if I can't build it, because it does... Yeah. Okay. All right, so I get 8 command points, so 1 more than normal. And that's, again, per the solo scenario rules. Unlike PvP, where it's always a set 5, 7, 9, 11, these ones are custom for each scenario and for each wave. So I get 8 command points here. Let's see. Is Versatile, is Versatile care about... Yeah, it is Keel Spire specifically. I think... Do I want to do the Shadow Magistrate for 5? I mean, I could try the Demolitionist, try to get some value from Incinerate. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the Demolitionist and then an Echo Scout. Because things like Capture and then now subsequently Incinerate are really good in solo, because if the enemy AI calls for a certain unit and it's not available, they just don't deploy that unit. They don't replace it with something else. They just don't deploy it. So you can get some really cheeky value from that. Okay. All right. In which case, we'll start here. The Brahmin goes first this wave. 2, 1, 2, 3. Builder, flip, and gain this on the Lance Launcher. All right, then my turn. This is tough because I really need some source here, so I can build a spire and get my units promoted. What's the fastest way I could do that? I mean, I guess I'll... Oh, I should move first. Because it's going to go there. Oh, well, it's going to be able to hit me no matter what. If I want to be able to hit it. Yeah, so I'll stay put. All right, so I'll hit it for 2. Okay. Oh, I got to move these guys, of course. I'm going to use Poise on this one. Just move it to 1. And then I'm going to use Poise on this guy. He does have Forest Terrain Allowance, though, so I'm going to have him go. Oh, but no. No, I'm going to have him just move normally. Yeah, because I don't want to block that. All right. And then he'll trigger Builder once again. Oh, okay. All right, now I get a chance. My slingshot will get a chance to fire on the dispatch. Oh, there we go. Good. Glad I did that damage with Flitter. Yeah, defeated, so I get 3 source. And this Battleborn won't be able to attack because it is not adjacent. All right. So I'm going to do a limited build action here. And what do I want to build? I can't afford the one that gives me flying. I think I'm going to get the Outpost, which has resupply, which is after after a minion moves on its hex group. You can remove the I think it's remove the bottom upgrade or remove a fortification. Resupply. you may remove an upgrade from this spire to give a Keel minion on the same hex group plus 2 HP, ignoring max HP. Cannot be used on a minion that is already above max HP. Yeah, so I'm going to do that. Place that there. Grab one of these little Elder Scrolls tokens here because we don't have the source pegs out here. I know, I recognize that it's my fault. So that just marked my first build action. Okay. So now that's going to promote both of these guys. So this Demolitionist, because promotion will interrupt. I remember Logan sort of mentioned it doesn't interrupt movement. To sort of explain it a little bit more robustly, promotion interrupts anything except for movement. So if you're in the process of movement, then you'll check it afterwards. But if you build a spire, anything already on that hex group will then immediately promote. Same with like if the enemy defeats a spire, and that's the only spire on that hex group of yours, it will depromote the units as well. Okay, so that cost me 3, so I'm down to 1 source. All right, so now I'll take my turn here. As far as an heads up on their new skills, Demolitionist gained Empowered, which is when it promotes, if the number of Keel Spires in play is equal to or greater than its new health, it gains an attack upgrade, ignoring capacity. I only have the 1 Keel Spire because, again, the Slingshot is a faction spire. I control it, but it is not a named Keel Spire. So Empowered isn't going to do anything in this context. And then the Echo Scout lost its 2 skills and gained one called Retrograde, which is when it would depromote, I can actually return it to my Fortress Gate hex and deploy it for free next wave. So it's a way where you can sort of get rid of a unit now to help you out in a later wave instead. All right. So Demolitionist, I'm going to have move up to the Battleborn here. And then I think the Echo Scout, I'm going to use Poise to just move it once. All right. I have to start chipping away at these spires. So I'm going to use Flitter. I'm going to move Flitter here. And I'm going to attack that. Demolitionist is going to kill the Battleborn, and I'm going to forego the 2 source reward to remove it from the game. All right, so now they're going to go. This Battleborn's going to move up. 1, 2, 3. All right, Spire is going to attack the Battleborn. 2 damage. And I believe, checking the... Where? Oh, here it is. I believe checking the priority is going to go for... Because it can't defeat either of those. So it's going to go for a Spire it can damage over a faction minion. So it will... remove the range from that. All right. So now it's my turn again. So, yeah, even if I were to use Poise, there's no way I'm incinerating this other Battleborn. In which case, I will use Poise to increase its movement to 3. 1, 2, 3 to move it up there. This Echo Scout... I'll just do it like that. Normally, Flitter, I'll remove. All right, so yeah, attack. Well, Spire's fire first, yeah. So Lance Launcher against the Demolitionist. 1 damage. Okay. Because again, I have to defeat 6. I gotta get Flitter going. All right, so attack. I will attack this with Flitter first, because Flitter's going to go into campfire mode here once the Echo Scout attacks. All right, Demolitionist. Okay, yeah, I'll reveal that. And I will deal 3 damage to it with the Demolitionist. So it's got the 4, 1, 2, 3. And then the Echo Scout will defeat the Battleborn. And I get 2 source for that. There we go. All right, campfire mode. Flitter is on lockdown. So Demolitionist will go 1, 2. And because Flitter is no longer active, I can't use poise anymore. So I'll go 1, 2. All right, so Spire's Fire, Lance Launcher against the Demolitionist. 2 damage. And then Siege Tower against the Echo Scout. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I would have depromoted. Yep. After I moved there. In which case, did I want to do... no, I already rolled the result. And I believe it was that too. So that is... I should have retrograded. That would have been smarter. All right. Okay, and then Demolitionist. I don't have to defeat the Bronze Fortress Gate. So honestly, I'm going to just remove one of these from the Lance Launcher. Okay, my next turn, it's going to stay there. 2 damage, and it is defeated. Okay. All right, that's the end of Wave 2. Are there any questions so far coming in at the chat, or just keep going? Yeah, no, we'll do a quick pause to answer some questions here. Because that'll hopefully make the rest of the game make more sense to those who might have some confusing questions.
That was really heavy on
Yeah.
vamp for me.
The vamp? Well, you gotta, I don't know.
Don't be a vampire.
Don't be a vampire, but I mean, I'm playing as the bats. No, none of them do have leech. There are no vampire bats in the Keel.
They do have like vampirism, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, they have that fortress advancement. So I guess their spires are vampires. Yeah.
But they're like emotional.
They are emotional vampires, yeah. All right, what do you got for me?
Let me grab my little stool. 'Cause I
Was there, how many questions are there? I thought there were... Jeez.
like asking questions.
I like answering questions, so I welcome it.
Given us questions.
Keep doing it. Yeah. I will go ahead and roll the next event die, though. 1, so that's going to increase Drang's health by 1.
I still really wanted to roll the event die while I wasn't able to show it on camera, so I think
Yep.
I'd lie about what the result was.
That's true. That's true.
This is all an elaborate ruse.
And then I do reveal the
So there will
furthest
be-
landmark. Oh, it's the Source Peddler, everyone's favorite.
There will be an asterisk next to this victory if
Yeah,
victory is
correct.
attained. Just gotta show off my shirt, my matching to your scenario.
Oh, yeah, it's got a bat on it. Look at
Get in
that.
there, bud.
All right, what are your questions?
Are flying units slowed down when you use the -1 movement of poise?
Yes, I'm a little. I guess I might be a little confused. Now, Clutch has a movement set of 1, and per the description of poise, you can't reduce a unit's movement to 0. So I can't slow down the Clutch unit specifically with poise, but flying units, like the aspect of having the talent flying would not negate me from being able to use poise on it.
Poise might need to just be read aloud in its entirety.
Yeah,
Because the next question is, does poise just affect all your minions on the board? No range rules, etc.?
Correct. Yes. So poise, it's just when moving a Keel minion. So obviously Flitter has to be active for poise to be active, but it's just when moving a Keel minion, you may give them +1 or -1 movement to a minimum of 1. So yeah, you don't need to keep. It's not like General Echo where you have to keep him with your troops to get that benefit, like on the same hex group. Flitter, you can have still go and do what she needs to do and still get the benefit on your units. And that is minions specifically. You can't use poise on hero movement.
And then, hey guys, just wanted to ask if you think that there is a potential for a Cloudspire successor way down the line, maybe focused more on the MOBA mechanics. Cheers and thanks for the great stream.
I mean, I'd say, yeah, there's definitely potential.
We'll never say never.
We'll never say never. Cloudspire, like with this being our last sort of like planned campaign for Cloudspire and ending, wrapping it up, there is going to be a bit of because it's like it's our only, well, no, so Hoplo's got some PvP, and then of course with Roth
Roth is
as well.
heavily
Heavily PvP. But both of those PvPs are very different. And so Cloudspire kind of does fill a unique design role that none of our other games quite do the same. And so by wrapping Cloudspire, we're kind of like, oh, hey, we aren't really tapping into that kind of vibe again with other designs. And so we might eventually be like, all right, we kind of have some cool ideas for that. Let's see what we can do. That being said, though, there's nothing planned, nothing set. Of course, with this campaign doing as well as it's doing, I think to not, at the very least, entertain the idea of some form of successor, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're definitely interested in exploring that possibility.
Like Cloudspire.
Cloudspire?
Islands of Noise. I don't live there because I'm very quiet, because you probably didn't even hear that. Is there a chance you release more scenarios for solo and co-op in the future? I love Cloudspire and can't believe this is supposed to be the end.
I think as far as being able to offer any more Cloudspire content, that would probably be one of the ways we could do it. Because if we wanted to provide it print, that would just be paper. We just print out another scenario booklet. Additionally, too, we could always even just put it on our, like, as a PDF, for example. Like if it's like, I remember a few years ago we tried our hand at doing like a like create your own scenario thing, and so like we could look into things like that again. And yeah, so nothing planned at the moment, again, mostly just because of where we expected this campaign to be and go. We sort of very much approached it with the idea of like, yeah, we are wrapping Cloudspire with this campaign, and we wanted to do a ton of stuff that was really exciting, even if the funding wasn't going to hit crazy levels. Of course, the funding is kind of hitting those crazy levels, so we have been kind of reevaluating what does that mean for Cloudspire and its future. That being said, though, I still don't want to commit to anything, especially because none of that would be my call. But I think as far as just the logistics of offering more Cloudspire, more solo scenarios and more co-op scenarios, or even more PvP skirmishes, would be something that would be in the realm of feasibility more so than another faction or something like that.
Some ideas people had: cloud spore, sky
Cloud
mushrooms in
spore.
space.
In space, I do like that. I like space mushrooms.
Space is all around us.
It is. That's true. Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking of outer space, and that's my bad.
Yeah. That one has a qualifier.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
in front of
Outer,
it.
outer.
Here comes the sequel, Groundspire. The floating islands all drop and now it's full-scale war.
Yeah.
Groundspire's funny.
Groundspire is pretty funny.
Alloy dice ? That is something to pester about in the Cloudspire campaign questions. I feel like in the comments.
Yeah, because like
that's not something I know.
Neither of us would be in charge of being able to greenlight that, verify it, comment on it. But voicing your desire for it does help us decide, like, okay, well, what kind of things do we want to add?
That one would be likely very expensive and probably would need a lot of people to say that they wanted it before.
Well, if it's just the attack dice, that's only 6 dice. Maybe the event die, if that would be 7. Yeah, because there's just 6 Spire attack dice. Like, because we wouldn't want to do alloy dice of the faction dice because they have important icons and those are very hard to do alloy dice. But I mean, it wouldn't be outside. Like we would just put some kind of engraving on there. But again, I can't promise anything. I can't make any statements on if we will offer, or even if we can offer. There might be things I'm not thinking of.
Yeah, I think someone asked that question like after stream ended last time, and Ryan was calculating the number of individual dice. I was like, that's clearly not possible. The cost of that many individual.
Oh, I mean, if it was all of the faction dice, yeah. But if it's just the Aspire attack dice and maybe the event die, then
possible.
Yeah, that's smaller than the Hoplo alloy dice pack. So,
again, we have no.
Yeah, that's over double though. That's over double the Triplock alloy dice pack.
Let's see.
People remember those.
Yeah. Those probably would cost more than
They would.
Cloudspire ones do.
Oh
they
yeah,
were
because
because they're rare.
they're so rare. Yeah.
Any potential for PDF versions of the books? Again, I don't know that one.
Of the lore books.
Probably.
If you're referring to the art and lore books, probably not. Again, I can't. I wouldn't know the answer to that, but I mean, that is meant to be like the lore, the extra lore and the extra art that's the product.
Yeah.
Now, yes, having a physical version versus a PDF version is nicer for most people, but again, still, that is meant to be like that is the product. Is you are getting a nice book, you are also getting access to that extra lore and story. As far as like the scenarios books, I do believe like all of those are just except for the anchor, like the soft cover one, I believe, because again, that is the product. But for like the base game and the expansion factions, we do put the scenarios online. I believe they're there. We could check if you wanted to.
Want me to pull that up?
Yeah, just real quick. I don't want to look like.
No, I don't know if it's different now. Support. This is some
Oh,
support ticket.
just go. Yeah, home.
Home.
Just go home. Just get out of here.
Okay.
Oh wait, no.
Let me shut the stream off.
Never
Let me
mind. Go there. Go there.
Well, it's in downloads, right? Downloads.
Oh, is it?
Isn't that
Oh
what
yeah.
it would be?
Okay. I've never gone that way. Now choose
okay.
game. Cloudspire.
This is riveting.
This is riveting gameplay right here. Scenario books. Yeah. So the scenario books, like what come with the base game and what come with the expansion factions, are on there. But I believe, I mean, again, I wouldn't know for sure. I would imagine no for the lore books, just because again, that extra lore is the product. Yeah.
They ain't up there, and I imagine we want people to purchase them.
Mm-hmm.
As craven as that sounds.
As craven.
I don't think that's.
Selling product.
I know. Let's see. Somewhat graph-related question for Salem. Are you a microbiologist?
I am not. I'm sure there's going to be some that, like, because I wanted to have all of the stuff named with that kind of microbiology focus. I did a lot of digging to find fun words, terms, things like that. And I'm sure there'll probably be someone out there that'll be like, wow, you use this so wrong. But I don't know. Hopefully it's more thematic and fun than, and you know, if a couple microbiologists come after me, I'll accept my fate.
Roast Salem.
Yeah, roast me in the comments, all microbiologists. If I did something wrong. If I didn't do anything wrong, I'll take the.
Feel free to roast Salem for how good of a job they did.
Yeah, roast me for my.
You did so good that I don't want to play other factions anymore.
Oh.
Jerk. That's all the questions I see.
Okay.
If you have any more, feel free to ask them, and we'll get to them later.
Sweet.
Come back on Tuesday for PvP.
I'm not done with this.
I know. I'm just telling people.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the page. Like this video. If
Like,
you wanna,
share, subscribe.
Yeah, share this live stream.
All right. Okay. So I did the event phase for Wave 3. I do gain 3 source for the income phase. Ooh, I am actually kind of feeling not getting that Battleborn source reward. Okay. All right. So let's see here. So market phase is normal. So yeah, those are fresh. What do I got? And this will refresh. Let's flip that. Okay. We've got Plaguebringer, Bots. Oh my gosh, all of the heroes on top. I don't think I want any of those. So I'm going to pass. So build phase as normal. So I've got 6. Got the armory die. I got the arsenates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know what? Honestly, I'm kind of thinking of getting Mulcher, even though it's just a +4. Or wait, no, I should have. Maybe I should have bought that Earthscape. Nah, I'll just get Mulcher. So Mulcher is whenever a landmark chip is removed by any player, gain 1 source. So I will gain a net gain of 4, which isn't great at this point. It's very good as a wave 1 purchase, but if you don't get it wave 1, there might be better things to invest your source into. Especially because like wave 1, it's all of your source. It costs 5 to get. Whereas there are a number of other things you can do wave 1 that give you multiple benefits. But I think at this point in time, given the map layout, I honestly don't have anything to spend my source on too much that I'm worried about. So I'm going to just do that. All right. Yeah, because there's no source wells available. That's why I was kind of regretting not getting that Earthscape. But all right. So enemy deployment. They have a dispatch Battleborn. That's promoted Battleborn still. Another dispatch Battleborn group. And then another gosh darn architect. And then Drang herself. All right. Okay, and I get to go first this time, which is good because I really want to... oh yeah, I got it. And then I have a command point of 10. I'm trying to think if I could maybe get another Incinerate. Because they are going to deploy both dispatches wave 4 and all 3 Battleborns. So I have a nice benefit there. I think, yeah, I'm going to do another Demolitionist. And then I'm going to do the Line Runner. So the Line Runner has Versatile, which is that one where when it's defeated, you can pay 2 source to add any upgrade chip to the bottom of the nearest Keel Spire, ignoring its restrictions. And then when it promotes, it gets a new ability called Static Return, which is this unit may retaliate multiple times per turn and may retaliate against units not in range, which is really nice to have a constantly retaliating 2 damage unit, especially against AI where you can kind of like force them to attack what you want. All right, so I'll place those there. Okay, so I'll start. I'll go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, I'm in range of the Sabisa. And then I'll go 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, and both of these will promote. Okay. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, I'll hit that. And I get 4 source. All right, and that is another landmark I have defeated. There we go. Okay, so now they're going to go. 1, 2, 1. Hey, that's nice. They actually delay themselves a little bit there. Dispatch is going to go there. That's outside of the range. Okay. All right, I'm kind of hoping that this won't hurt me, but I'm going to get Flitter out of there to start dealing with stuff over here. Okay, so Line Runner. I'll get up there. And then Demolitionist, I will just move the 1. And again, I'm using Poise there to reduce its movement by 1. Okay. Then Flitter will attack the Siege Tower. Okay. So Dispatch, Dispatch, Architect, 1, 2, 3, and it'll flip to add a fortification to this Lance Launcher. And then Drang has the special... she has sort of a different direction. She's going to go towards the closest revealed landmark minion, which I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, so she's going to go towards the Source Peddler. She's got a range right now of 3. Yeah, okay. All right, so she's heading over there to try and take out the source peddler. Okay, so spires don't fire because it's out of range. Dispatch. Well, this dispatch. Oh, this is great. So this dispatch will hit my line runner for 1. Static return will let it retaliate, regardless of not being in range. And then this dispatch will attack, and then it'll get to retaliate again because static return lets it retaliate multiple times. So that is really nice. Okay. All right, now my turn. Okay, what? Oh, dang it. That one hex is on its own hex group of this 3. So even if I build a spire there, I don't even think I can build a spire there yet. No, I don't have influence because I have influence here, and then that gives me influence here. Dang, okay. One nice thing, though, is I do still have Incinerate on the base version of the Demolitionist. So honestly, depromoting it is not the worst, and the Dispatch does have low health now. So I think that's okay. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to keep the line runner there. Here we go. This will depromote. And, okay, Demolitionist. Oh, wait, no. Oh, I know what I can do here. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so Demolitionist is still there. I'm going to do a lateral move with the line runner and depromote to flip to there. Then the Demolitionist will go there and stay promoted. I'll have the line runner. Okay, I can hit the Grail Vipers from here. Oh, I want to open this though. All right, so I'll have the line runner defeat the dispatch, so that gives me 3. And this Battleborn then would be at 3 health, but I'm going to just immediately defeat it with the Demolitionist. I'm going to ignore its source reward to get rid of it from the game. Okay. And then I'm going to explore this. And I'm going to use Flitter to attack the Grail Vipers for 2. And I don't know if... Are the Grail Vipers in frame? Can people see them? Okay. Bottom right, yeah. All right. So now their turn. Dispatch, go there. Architect. Oh. I mean, I guess I get to choose because those are equidistant. So I'll have it go like that. Because that's not any more progress. And then it doesn't add to that siege tower. All right, Drang. 2, 3, 4. So she's still out of range of the source peddler. Okay. Dispatch. Can't defeat either of them. So I could have it attack the Demolitionist. And then I get rid of that as well. But do I want that 3 source? No, I don't think I do. Yeah, I'll have it attack the Demolitionist. I'll defeat it, and I'll just get rid of it. Okay. All right, back to my turn. Let's see here. I could just defeat another Battleborn. Oh, geez. Yeah, I mean, the last wave does deploy some additional units beyond the ones I've been dealing with. So honestly, that might just be the strategy, is to try and take out as many of these as possible. I'm going to move Flitter up there. Yeah, I think I can justify that. Yep, so Demolitionist, I'll attack the Battleborn. I'll forgo its reward to get rid of it. Okay, and then Flitter will defeat the Grail Vipers. So that's another landmark minion destroyed. I get a relic. That's not for solo. That's not for solo. I thought I removed these. What the heck? Wait, these are the ones I removed. Where's the deck? Oh my gosh, I literally grabbed all 4 of the ones I set aside. Here they are. Okay, Ashen Resolve. Okay. All right. So it's their turn. Architect will move up. I'll have the Architect attack the Line Runner. Oh, yeah, because I just had the architect attack the line runner. All right, so then my turn. I will use... Oh. All right, I'm actually going to destroy the siege tower here. So I can get that source wall open. 2, 3, 5. Also, because of Mulcher, I should gain 1 more from that Grail Viper. Okay, these guys here, they're not going to deploy another Architect next wave, so I'm not going to worry about incinerating, in which case I'll just have the Demolitionist defeat the Architect. And that's 2 more source. Okay. All right, their turn, Drang. Just going to shoot at the Source Peddler. And then once that Source Peddler is defeated, it's going to actually start making its way towards this Bounty Hunter. But it will attack people on the way. Okay, my turn. I'm going to do my 2 limited build actions this wave. I didn't remove that peg from last time. I am going to build... Air defense doesn't really help me. Or because of air defense, the flying one doesn't seem worth the cost. So I am going to, over here, I'm going to just build a cheap one here because I mostly just want it for the influence. So that's 2 to build a Source Grinder. And I'm not going to attach one of my chips to it. And then I'm going to build a... yeah, I'm going to build a Replicator because then I can actually get Empowered going off, which would be helpful. All right, so that's 4. And I'm going to attach an attack upgrade to it. Right there. Okay. All right, so that's my 2 build actions. So now movement. I'm going to use Poise to move 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And because of that Spire, this one now becomes promoted. And the Demolitionist stays promoted. All right, and then Flitter. Yep, that's still in range of the Bounty Hunter. Okay, so Spire's Fire. It can defeat either, so I get to choose. I'll have it go for the Line Runner. 2 damage. Drang is staying put because Drang is in range of where it wants to go, so she won't move any closer to her target. So she's just going to stay there and keep hitting the Source Peddler until it's defeated. All right, and then Flitter will hit the Bounty Hunter. All right, so then their turn. Drang will finish off the Source Peddler. So that is a landmark minion I did not defeat. Additionally, every time Drang defeats a unit, she gains an attack upgrade, ignoring restrictions, which does make her quite scary. Okay. So then my turn. Demolitionist will move there. Oh, actually, I don't know. I actually kind of want... All right, use Poise to move the Demolitionist there. Oh, because I didn't have these guys attack this. Yeah, they would have removed 2 of those. And then I'll have the Line Runner move there, so Spire's Fire. I'm going to have it attack the Demolitionist this time, because again, I don't want to defeat the opposing Fortress Gate, really, so... And then 2 more. And then defeat the Bounty Hunter. So that's 3 source. There we go. All right, their turn. Now Drang. There are no more revealed landmark minions currently, so she's instead going to go towards Flitter. So she wants to make her way towards Flitter, which is not great. Okay. Who should I have her attack? She's going to defeat either of them. I guess the oh, dang. I guess the Line Runner. And then she gains another attack upgrade. Oh gosh, she is very scary. I think I can have her go there and then take some damage from that. Okay, my turn. Spire's Fire against the Demolitionist. Oh, yes! Okay, to remove that. All right. Oh gosh, because remember, Flitter. If Flitter is defeated, I lose. So I thought about getting some damage on Drang, but that if I get hit by Drang, I'm dead. Oh gosh. Okay. I'm gonna start running. I think I might just put. Okay. So then. Yeah. So then Drang. I'll go there. Replicator. No! Oh, that's a miss, and she'll defeat the Demolitionist, and yeah, she gains another attack upgrade. So she has 3 range, 4 attack. No, 5 attack. Oh, jeez, I don't like that. All right. Final wave here. I do still need to defeat 2 more landmark minions, which are on the other side of the map. Ooh. That's rough. Okay. Roll the event die. Reveal landmark furthest from the Browning Gate. That's a 4. Oh, great. She gets another attack upgrade. Ugh. Okay. Reveal the furthest. It's this one over here. All right. Well, hey, at least that'll keep Drang busy. She'll go try and take out the Grail Wasps. Okay. 3 source. Refresh the market. Please give me a minion. No minion. Oh, I didn't even get Flitter back to the fortress, so I can't even attach the time vials. This will rotate again. Ooh. Ooh, I know what I can do. All right, I'm going to buy this for 2. Okay. And then, build phase. I'm going to build this right there. Okay. And then I'm going to build, let's see, which one of these has the most? It's 5. Okay, this is expensive, but heck, I'm going to do it. All right, so I'm going to build an artillery because it has the reason I'm doing that is it has the highest upgrade capacity because I want to be able to upgrade this a bit more. So I'm going to spend 5 to build this artillery. Build it there. And then I'm going to spend 4 to add a attack upgrade to it. And then I'm going to buy long range specialists. So this is a gain the gunnery die and set it to 0. At the start of the prep phase, you may either spend 2 or 4 command points to upgrade the gunnery die to 2 or 3, respectively. Keel Spires with 0 range upgrades may now target opposing units up to 2 or 3 hexes away. So effectively, I can use command points to give all of my non-range spires range. So I'm going to spend 4 on that. Okay, and I'll just mark that with the horizon. I have the cannonball die here. I'll just mark it with that because that is a 0 through 5. Even though it doesn't go up to 5, it just goes 0, 2, or 3. Okay. And I have 2 left. I don't think I'm going to spend that 2 on anything. No, I don't think so. Okay. So they get a dispatch, and this is a promoted dispatch and a promoted battleborn. They don't have any battleborns, so it's just the dispatch. And then another dispatch battleborn, but they don't have any. And then another battleborn, which they don't have any. And then it's a source siege with a promoted Aegis underneath. Okay. There we go. All right. So I have 12 command points. I need to deal as much damage to Drang as possible. So I'm actually going to spend 4 of those command points. I'm going to drop down to 8 command points to set my gunnery die to 3, which will let my spires without range upgrades target opposing units up to 3 hexes away. All right, so then I have 8 command points then with that reduction. Honestly, I think even though I don't care about Incinerate, I'm going to be able to get 4 attack on the Demolitionist with Empowered, but is that worth it? Because that would be the Demolitionist and then the Line Runner again or something. Ooh, actually, yes, I'm going to do the Demolitionist and then the Sky Fox. And the Sky Fox is that one with 3 health and 7 health, which can actually has another ability called Protect, which is when a unit on its hex group would take damage, you can have Sky Fox take that damage instead. Now I'm going to pretty much just use that to keep my Demolitionist alive, to deal the heavy hits, to hopefully wipe out the minions that are coming out here. All right, so that's going to be 3 and 3. And I will have the Sky Fox go first. Go. Oh, I also get Ashen Resolve. During each prep phase, add 1 health to one of your selected minions. I mean, it's not really going to matter because they're just going to promote. But I guess I'll add it to the Demolitionist. Because it's just going to promote anyway and then be at 4 regardless. But Ashen Resolve will be helpful. Okay. So Brannin goes first. All right, Spire's Fire, because again, these both now have a range of 3. So I'm going to have the artillery. Oh, Drang has to move first here. So Drang is going to head towards the Grail Wasps. Honestly, I'm going to have both of them attack Drang. So artillery against Drang. 2 damage. And then the replicator against Drang. 2 more damage. Yes, okay. This is huge. This was worth the investment. Okay, so then attack. They're going to all go towards a spire that they can damage. Which, honestly, I'm going to have the dispatch hit that replicator. And now they have a spire they can defeat. So I'm going to have this Source Siege attack that. Now I get to trigger my armory die because an attack upgrade was removed. So I get to apply that to the Source Siege. Oh, gosh. Deal the attacking unit 1 damage for each upgrade on this spire. Well, there's no upgrades on the spire because it was defeated. So that is a bummer. That is a real bummer. Okay. Place that back in my barracks. And then Drang will attack this and remove the attack. So I get to do it again against Drang. 1, so that's deal 1 damage. Perfect. Okay. I'm pretty sure Drang is going to die here from the artillery next round. Okay, so I still need to defeat these spires. And I need to defeat 2 more landmark minions. I'm not sure I'm going to get that one. But I think I can defeat these spires here. 1, 2, 3. I'll go there. Oh, no, that puts me in range of that. Hold on. Go there. Okay. Sky Fox is going to promote. There, Demolitionist. Also promote. It's already at the 4th because of Ashen Resolve. And now Bulwark is when another, let me read it verbatim here. Bulwark. When another minion is promoted on the same hex group, that minion gains a fortification upgrade, ignoring restrictions. So it gains that. Empowered is also going to trigger here, which is after this unit promotes, if the number of Keel Spires in play is equal to or greater than the unit's current HP, it gains an attack upgrade. Oh, that's not true anymore because they defeated that 1 spire. Dang, okay. Never mind. I don't get empowered. All right. Well, yeah, because I have the flying. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and they took out the one that counted as double. So, all right. Well, no matter. Flitter. I could just kill Drang right here, but I think the artillery is going to do that, so I'm going to attack that. And then I'm going to use Ashen Resolve, which technically I'd have to do at the start of my turn, but nothing, there hasn't been any random elements, so I'm going to just, yeah. To add 2 health to any unit, because I'm going to add 2 health to Flitter. All right. And that does get to exceed its max. Okay. Oh, that would have been in range of the spire. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I have range there, so I'd just do that. Okay. They're gonna go. All right, Spire's fire. I'm gonna use artillery on Drang. That was close. Drang is defeated. And I get 3 source, and that is going to complete one of the objectives. So as long as Flitter doesn't die here, I will technically win this scenario with the 1 if I can't get these other spires. This is, yeah, because it's the source siege. Because they prioritize a hero. Who do I want to attack first? Because I'll get to do the retaliation damage against. I will do the source siege. Okay. All right. Skyfox, move up 1. Demolitionist, I'll move up 3 using poise. Okay, Flitter, move up there. Oh my gosh. Oh, geez. I don't know if I can get this other one. Because I still have to get over to that siege tower, and Flitter's the only one with a range. Yeah, no, I'm going to just keep... I'm going to get the 1. I'm going to play it safe. So defeat the source siege. Demolitionist will defeat the dispatch. That's 2 source. Okay. Their turn. They're going to move the Aegis up. Attack for 2. Retaliate for 3. So the Aegis is defeated. So Flitter's in Campfire. So then Spire's fire. 2 damage. Oh gosh, and the Skyfox is behind. Oh well, it's not like a... Yeah. All right. Defeated. And then... Oh my gosh. And then there we go. And dead. All right. Well, I did. This is a win, though, because you only have to complete 1 objective to win, and we did kill Drang. Very gratefully, I was able to invest in that artillery thing, because otherwise she would have just ran away to the Grail Wasps over here, and it probably would have taken her too long to get back. So my minions probably would have just... I would have gotten a couple more turns with Flitter, which I could have used for something. But yeah, I might have been unable to defeat Drang, and then I wouldn't have been able to get a different objective instead. So I think that sort of really helped me there. Yeah. All right. Well, that is the scenario 1. Our first win, I think, of the 3 streams. So that's exciting. But yeah, that is the Keel. Were there any questions that came in over the last 2 waves? Question on 20 strong?
No, didn't you win the 20 strong?
Oh, right. I did win 20 strong, so that counts.
I mean, your nose bled. So I guess
My
that's
nose
like
did
a
bleed,
loss.
yeah.
You should check out that stream if you want.
You
to see
can't. I went
Salem's
back and
nose bled.
rewatched it. You can't actually see anything.
It's gushing.
It's
All right. Let's see.
What do we got?
Can we send Riffle to Cloudspire as a stretch goal?
Ooh.
Probably not. Is my guess, but
Comes with
You
it's
can
a
make
it's
fun
a
of it.
market chip that comes with the whole deck of cards.
yeah. I want to introduce a unit that has a possibility of talents that they can have, but each time to trigger it to see which one they get, you have to play a
Oh.
game to pick a game.
Oh gosh.
What happens with this scenario if too many Battleborn get incinerated?
So as we saw there, I incinerated 3 Battleborn, which meant in that final wave where it wanted to deploy 3 Battleborn, it just didn't get to deploy them. And honestly, part of that is built like the scenarios are built with the talents you have access to in mind. So using Incinerate very aggressively here did help me, but did it help me enough? Because I was depriving myself of a good amount of source, and also I was sending out the Demolitionist, which is depriving me of a good amount of command points. So was it worth it? I mean, it definitely did give me breathing room that last wave, but I don't think I needed the breathing room. So it's sort of an interesting question of like, yeah, like it feels like I'm exploiting the game. And in a way you are, but that's intended in solo. But also at the same time, like, okay, I had to keep sending out the Demolitionist, and I wasn't getting value from Empowered because I just didn't have the Spires I needed on the board. So it was really just there for Incinerate. And even though it's still a good unit, and I was able to just one-hit most of the Brahmin units, it's still like, oh, well, could I have done more with, you know, perhaps getting investing more in the long-range specialists, and then I get more units with, like, the range, and then they can come more and circle around here and start picking away at this siege tower, pick off the Lance Launcher from a distance, or even just having more units that can attack the Lance Launcher, because I had that bit where I had the Line Runner and the Demolitionist surrounding the Lance Launcher, but if I, instead of taking that, I took, like, 2 clutches, that's another person helping to defeat that that Lance Launcher. So there's a number of different things that I could have done different, or even Echo Scouts, because promoted Echo Scouts deal 3 damage. So
everyone seems to really have liked that scenario.
Awesome, yeah.
You showed off the one good scenario, and
I showed off
hiding off all the bad ones, right? I'm joking. They're all great.
But yeah, and again too, because you can choose, this is one thing I was thinking of, you can choose where you deploy at the start. And I was like, how in the world, like, what opportunity did I have to get Flitter over to the other side of the board to get rid of those landmarks? And then I was thinking, like, oh, wait, wave 1, I had that opportunity where you can deploy Flitter over here and then deploy your minions over here, and you use, like, perhaps you deploy 2 Echo Scouts and you just neutralize both of those. It's not like you need this, you can get the source anyway. And then that's where you set up. That's where all the minions go, because now your fortress is here. And then you have Flitter over here dealing with these landmarks. And then, because that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have 6 right there, you know, and then you've got it. So yeah, I was definitely thinking of like, okay, wait, hold on. I need to take a step back here. I don't have to keep all my units deployed at the same areas. So there's some interesting stuff you can do with this scenario.
I agree with this comment of everyone like the video and then head to the campaign to add more money.
Let's go.
Yeah, help us hit those stretch goals. I'm one of them.
You are one of them.
Gross Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We're just a spider.
We're just a spider.
There's much man to that.
No, it's just a spider head. It's not even a full body. It's just that you're just a spider head.
Make me man spider. That fortress upgrade earlier where you get rewarded from spire upgrades being removed, is that Keel specific or general?
I'm trying to think which one they might be referring to. Can you read it again?
That fortress upgrade earlier where you get rewarded from spire upgrades.
I'm not 100% sure what that's referring to. But all of my stuff was Keel specific.
Yes.
So
the answer is yes.
Yeah, I believe the answer is yes, unless I'm misinterpreting the question. If you hear me misinterpreting the question and you want to drop it again, because I'd love to answer it. But I'm just trying to think about like reward.
The fortress upgrade you were tracking with the die that upgraded the range on them.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. That. So let me read.
That's definitely Keel.
Yeah, that is definitely, it's tracked with a unique die. Let me read the thing exactly. So that was long range specialists, gain the gunnery die and set it to 0. At the start of the prep phase, you may either spend 2 or 4 command points to upgrade the gunnery die to 2 or 3, respectively. Keel Spires with 0 range upgrades may now target opposing units up to 2 or 3 hexes away. So essentially it's equal to the value of the die. At the end of the wave, reset the die to 0. So you're effectively spending command points to try and increase the range of your spires, which of course in a PvP game where you might have conscription going off, hey, honestly, then you can sort of just be doing it at the cost of the source to trigger conscription. But in this one, I did have to actively give up command points to do, which honestly didn't hurt so bad because I took out I incinerated so many units. But yes, that is a Keel specific thing.
When you say range 3 from that upgrade, is it 3 from the tower, or is it the equivalent of 3 range upgrades?
It is 3
So
from the
you have
tower.
4.
If there are any eagle-eyed viewers on there that might have seen how it was written on here, that it does say upgrades, but that's not what it's supposed to say. It is so, because then that would be, if it was 2 and then 3, it would be 3 and then 4 range, which is wild. Very, very expensive. Now, of course, 4 command points is pretty expensive, but this applies to all of your spires. So it gives your spires 2 range and 3 range. And again, that is like, can target up to 2.
Specifically only is able to target spires with 0 range upgrades.
Yes, so if you have a spire with a range upgrade, it won't get any benefit from it. But also at the same time, like, it probably doesn't need the benefit because it already has the range, and it's only getting, yeah.
Coming up on the end of the questions, hit us with any more if you have them. Otherwise, we will be finishing up in a moment.
Yeah.
How does the protective talent fit as a bat talent thematically?
The protect?
Sure.
The one where it's like a tank. I mean, again, too, like, they're bats, but they're also soldiers. They're also warriors. They're also, and it is on its promoted side, so I'd sort of say it's less to do with them being bats and more to do with the void technology. I'd like to believe that it's like, because it's cast in a big thing of darkness, the Sky Fox is actually using that opportunity to sort of redirect the damage that the enemies are casting into the darkness. So, you know, you have a dispatch attacking somebody that's under this big giant cloud, and normally it would hit the demolitionist, but the Sky Fox is able to then, like, either, like, because it's darkness and it's like, oh, the dispatch is blind, you know, and can't see very well, and it's hitting this giant Sky Fox instead. Or it's in the darkness and it's like zipping around and then hopping back to where it is. Whatever kind of darkness magic you want to sort of get into. Because, yes, again, to think anytime there's a spire, which again is needed in order for the Sky Fox to be on its promoted side, it's like that whole aisle is shrouded in darkness. Yeah.
You just say the Sky Fox is using the darkness to imprisoning them.
Oh my gosh.
Absolute horror.
Yes, you could say that.
And then the last question is, could there be a CTG convention? Probably not.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't think there's enough interest. But if there was one, it probably would not be at Games Enter. It would probably just be here, honestly, for how small I imagine it would be. Like, Con of the North is quite small, and, you know, ours would be smaller. So, probably not.
But I love the interest.
The office.
Yeah.
We'll give you a tour of it. You can come see the big source tree.
The big source tree, yeah, with the Grove Tender.
Yeah. Is that a specifically named Grove Tender? Is it
I don't know. I think maybe Wybanth, but
we all know them affectionately as Tendy, the Grove Tender.
So it's void magic, right? Exactly, it's void magic.
Or
it's just the Sky Fox has 7 health, so there's all the alternative that it's just so big that it's just getting in the way of everything.
It's a big fox in the sky.
It's just
Mm-hmm. Sky Fox.
Sky Fox.
All right. So that is our questions that we have here. So we are going to be back in a few days on Tuesday. Check that one out. That will be a
3-player PvP stream, right?
Yeah, a me VP.
Whoa.
I'm going to be in that one. I will be playing as these fellers.
You guys?
These little bats, I believe. And you'll be playing the Graft, and Ryan will be playing the Shadow.
Sounds good to me.
Shout out to those Shadow heads out there. That's nothing. And then we will be back on Thursday to do our closing Q&A and maybe something else if I've got time. It relies on me having time. So
You don't have
who
that.
knows? I don't.
No.
My time is running
You
out.
need the time vials. There you go. Equip that, and you're good.
I'll put that there. These are vaguely magnetic, if you didn't know that about mags.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Look at that chip. Isn't that magic?
Not sure why,
Yeah,
but
it's just because of the stuff in there.
all right.
All right.
Is
Well,
that
that's us. So tune in next Tuesday at 10:30 for that PvPvP if you want to see all that, and then tune in on Thursday for a big pile of questions that will have Gilly on it to answer those questions. So if you like that guy, be there for that one. And then something else maybe. And check out the campaign. Links below,
link
of
below.
course.
It's going wild. It's great. So thank you, everybody, for
Also
your
check
support.
out the other live streams if you want to see how those other ones work.
Yeah. And watch us lose some scenarios. So if you're tired, if you're tired of us winning, yeah.
Oh.
What
Predictions.
prediction? Oh, on who's gonna
Predictions
win?
For the 3P.
Yeah. I guess we could do prediction. Do a poll.
Ooh, a
Maybe at the
poll.
start of the stream, you do a poll to see.
That'll be one of the things we do.
And
in
is
the,
there a
in the
reward-
Thursday stream? Is we'll
reward
do a poll to see
for-
who won in the Tuesday stream before it.
What?
See who tuned in. Yeah, but, I mean, yeah. There's not a reward. I mean, you can have pride.
Pride. That's the reward.
So who do you think is?
Who do I think is gonna win?
I mean, you.
I don't know. Maybe me.
I'm confident I won't win. That's my prediction. Is not me.
Okay. I'll say me then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, someone's full of themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.